All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tracing a journey of the self through a pretty dark philosophical landscape. This is a story about what it takes to become who you are, a story about one person's will against the weight of the entire world. Our whole journey really kicks off with this powerful idea. We're not a final destination, we're a bridge, a rope stretched precariously over an abyss. It suggests that our whole purpose isn't about arriving somewhere safe, but it's found in the dangerous act of crossing. So what does that really mean, to be a bridge between who we are now and who we could become? That's the question at the heart of this entire ascent. So to really get what's happening here, we need to understand the framework. And that framework is what we're calling a Fichtean dialogue. Now, this isn't a conversation with words. It's a fundamental metaphysical conflict. You've got two sides. On one hand, there's the I. That's your pure asserting will. And on the other, you have the not I. That's, well, everything else. The world, society, physics, every single obstacle that pushes back against you. Let's just break that down a little more. The not I is the objective world, right? It's the wall you run into, the limits that are placed on you from the outside. But the absolute I, that's your subjective will. It's that inner force that screams, I exist, I choose, I act. This entire story, this whole journey, is the epic battle between these two forces. It's like a cosmic arm wrestle for the nature of reality itself.
And this brings us to a really crucial concept, the Anstoß. It's a German word that means a check or a shock. It's that moment, the world, the not I, pushes against you so hard that your I is literally forced to wake up and recognize itself. Think about it. Without an obstacle to push against, how would you ever know your own strength? So the Anstoß isn't just a barrier. It's the very thing that makes self-consciousness possible in the first place.
Okay, so let's begin. We're now entering the first stage of our initiate's journey. He steps into a forest, and he's completely burdened by the past. You could say he's like the camel, just carrying this impossibly heavy load. And here, in this forest of calcified history, he's about to feel the crushing weight of the not I for the very first time. This quote right here frames the central problem of this whole stage. Is the past an unchangeable law? A solid stone wall that completely defines you? Or could it be something else? Could it be transformed, broken down into sand, just waiting for a new will, a new wind to come along and give it a totally new shape? You can almost hear it, can't you? This is the voice of the not I, the forest of calcified time. It's the crushing weight of tradition, of history, of every single you must and you can't that's ever been uttered. It's declaring that you're not a source of light yourself. You're just a shadow that's cast by something much larger, much older, and much more important than you. And here it is. This is that first spark, that Anstoß in action. The initiate doesn't deny the weight. He doesn't pretend it's not there. He feels it, he acknowledges it, and in that very feeling, he defines his own existence. The obstacle becomes the tool for his self-awareness. He's no longer just a victim of the weight. He is the one who pushes back.
The next challenge he faces is a lot more subtle. It's a mirror, just discarded on the path. And the voice of the not I becomes seductive, tempting. It says, hey, look here, let me tell you who you are. This frame, this is your limit. Just accept it, and you'll be safe. This is that deep temptation to just let the world define you, to seek validation from the outside.
But he rejects it. Absolutely. He refuses to become a passive object that's just defined by a reflection. Instead, he chooses to be an active subject, defined by his own action. His existence isn't confirmed by what he sees in the mirror, but by the path he is actively forging with his own 2 feet. So, he's rejected the false safety of the forest and that tempting mirror, but now the journey becomes infinitely more dangerous. He finds himself on a narrow rope, suspended over a vast abyss. This is the real test of will. The voice of the not I has changed. It's no longer about tradition. Now it's the cold, indifferent voice of oblivion. It's the void itself, whispering about how fragile you are and how permanent it is. This is objective reality, and it could not care less about your struggle. One mistake, one slip, and you're gone. But watch what he does here. He completely reframes the situation. He looks at the void not as a threat, but as the very thing that gives his journey meaning. The danger isn't something to be avoided. The danger is his definition. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? Without the abyss, there's no need for a tightrope walker. His courageous act of crossing gives purpose to both the rope
and the void.
And, as if the abyss weren't enough, a new enemy appears, a howling wind. This is what's called the spirit of revenge, that inner rage you feel at the fact that the past is unchangeable. It's the voice of regret, just screaming at you that you can never, ever undo what has been done.
So how do you survive that? Well, the initiate uses a new tool, the whip of distance. He cuts himself off from pity for himself, pity for the world he left behind. He creates a clean, deliberate separation from the "it was." And suddenly that howling wind of the past no longer pushes him off balance. It actually sharpens his focus.
After a flash of insight, like lightning illuminates his path forward, he leaves the rope and enters a cave. And now the struggle shifts. It moves from the external world to the internal one. The greatest obstacle is no longer below him, but inside him.
Inside this cave, he finds a chamber lined with black glass. And this mirror doesn't offer some safe, flattering reflection. Oh no, it shows him his own shadow self, his devil's grimace. The voice of the not I is now his own inner darkness, telling him he's a monster, that he is utterly and horrifyingly alone.
And this is the great turning point of the entire journey. He doesn't fight the monster in the reflection. He accepts it. He declares, "It is mine." And by integrating his own shadow, he achieves a new kind of wholeness. He discovers that real solidarity isn't about belonging to a crowd. It's about being sovereign over your entire self. His solitude becomes his greatest strength.
So we now arrive at the climax. Having integrated his shadow, the initiate reaches the very heart of the cave. Here, at an anvil, he must face the ultimate limit and forge an entirely new kind of will. This is where the burdened camel finally transforms into the defiant lion.
This is the ultimate goal. Redemption here isn't about being forgiven or changing the past. It's a radical, creative act of will. It's about reinterpreting every single moment of your past, the good and the bad, as something you actively chose. It's the transformation of "it was" into "thus I willed it."
And here is the final voice of the not I, and it's the most powerful one of all, irreversible time itself. It states the simple, brutal fact that you cannot go back. The past is fixed. You are just an object caught in time's flow, and it commands you to submit. And this is the final, earth-shattering declaration of the absolute I. The initiate doesn't try to change the past. He swallows it whole, and he rebirths it as his own choice. He looks at everything that has ever happened to him, all the pain, all the struggle, all the weight, and instead of being its victim, he declares himself its author. This is the ultimate act of sovereignty.
And that brings our metaphysical journey to a close, but it leaves us with a question that echoes from the initiate's anvil. It's not about wishing you had a different past. It's about having the incredible strength to look at the life you actually lived in all its messy entirety and finding the will to declare, "Thus I willed it." So what would that mean for you?